Let's go to Environment Canada senior climatologist Dave Phillips. He joins us now from Barrie, Ontario. Dave, good evening.
Hi, Morella. Nice to be with you.
How soon could the temperatures change, and which parts of Canada could experience this?
Well, I mean, we certainly are for the next week or so. I think we're all right. We've had really, Morella, where is winter? I mean, it's been missing in action. You take places out west like Winnipeg, Edmonton, Regina. They typically would have had 20, 22 days where the temperature's been below minus 20. I think they've had maybe 4 or 5 of those days. Here in southern Ontario, we've had no days where the temperature's been below minus 10. So it's really been a rather tame and soft kind of a winter. And that's about to change because the polar vortex, which has been behaving itself and staying put up there and not migrating, it's just spinning around at the North Pole, and then be this sudden warming that you speak of, which is occurring at where the jet aircraft fly, kind of perturbing the polar vortex and moving it off its position. And now it is weakening, it's expanding, and it's now going to move southward. And likely we see next week in, say, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes, and the week following, that would be the last week of January for Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia. But Morella, it's how long is it going to last? It's not a certain thing that's going to happen. But I think when we approach the second half of winter, it looks like it's going to be certainly a little colder than it's been in the first half of winter.
So can it last for a long time? I mean, typically, what have we seen in the past?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I mean, the length, I mean, a lot of uncertainty. Whether it's going to really spill southward, is it going to go just really to Europe and Asia and not to North America? It breaks off sometimes in lobes. Sometimes, if it occurs early in the winter, boy, it goes on forever. I mean, I've seen polar vortices that have broken down and have really dominated the winter for several weeks, if not months. So my sense is that this one is maybe short-lived if it does occur, maybe a week or 2 weeks at the most, and just coming at that sort of the dead of winter. That's the period that we're really at the halfway point. And so, but the models seem to, the forecast is looking like it's going to happen. We see this spilling of cold air to cool off southern Canada, Europe, and the United States. But how long it lasts is going to be a good question. I think we're going to experience it, but it may not be in the intensity that we've seen at other times, and it may not go on for more than, say, a week or 2 weeks, which I think for Canada, we would be all right with that.
And how will it affect, if it does move south, how would it affect different parts of the country differently? What would BC see? What would Alberta see? What would Ontario and Quebec see?
Well, I think everywhere we will see temperatures, for example, all freeze days. For example, here in the east, we wouldn't see any melting temperatures. They'd stay below freezing during the day, down to maybe minus 15, minus 18, minus 20 at night. Good for growing ice for the winter lute in Ottawa and snowflake festivals and winter carnivals. That would be a good news situation. They tend to be a little colder out west. Maybe temperatures that would be minus 25, minus 30. These are not unusual, but I think it's the day after day after day after day, which is the characteristic of the polar vortex. Once it arrives, this cold, its air as thick as molasses, Morella, and it fills all the nooks and crannies and just cools everything off, and it keeps all the kind of warm weather away. So I think everybody would certainly feel why we are the second coldest country in the world and the snowiest. The polar vortex sometimes is a reality check for us here in Canada.
Yeah, just your description makes me feel cold inside, Dave Phillips. Sir, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate that.
Okay, Morella, bye-bye now.